Welcome back, Storm fans. I am Bryant Cook, and today we're playing Cycle Storm, my favorite Pauper deck. But that's not the only thing that's back. Another card that's back is Tolarian Winds. If you've been following my channel for the last year or so, you would have noticed that I was in love with Tolarian Winds about a year and a half ago in Cycle Storm. I wasn't the first person to ever play Tolarian Winds in the deck, and I'm sure I won't be the last, but I was certainly someone that popularized the card during an era where we were all playing Invasion Sacrifice lands. And I fell out of love with the card a little bit with the printing of Repository Scob. It just didn't feel as necessary. We went up to 2 Scobs and we never really looked back. Up until recently, I felt like the deck has had a little bit of consistency issues when I lose. We beat everything else and then we lose to ourselves sometimes. So I'm looking to solve that problem. And a part of that is recognizing your weaknesses. And that is sometimes that we just get stuck. There's games where you don't find Reaping the Graves, or you get stuck with a pair of Repository Scobs in your hand in all rituals. So we're looking to change that. Part of changing that is Tolarian Winds. And I recorded a video about 2 weeks ago that you can find in the card above. It's a member exclusive video where I tested Tolarian Winds again, and I was really impressed. So if you haven't watched that yet, consider signing up for a membership. I'd appreciate you supporting the channel, but not a big deal. And I was really impressed with Tolarian Winds in that video, so much that I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep playing too, but I need to figure out another way to make the deck more consistent, because I did struggle still with finding Reaping the Graves. I forgot how much I loved the old Tolarian Winds Reaping the Graves combo. It was super powerful. So I want to add in the second Mystical Teachings again, but it came at the cost of Repository Scob. Like I mentioned, Scob is a hard stop. When you're trying to go off and you just have all rituals in hand, like Dark Ritual or Cabal Ritual, and then you draw Repository Scob, it doesn't get you any further into your deck. Tolarian Winds does that. The Hottest Ploy does that. Mystical Teachings searches for the card you're looking for. So Repository Scob, while super powerful, isn't what you need to get going. And I feel like that's half the battle, is just getting going. With one Repository Scob in the deck, there is a little bit of fear that you just don't find it in the top 4/5 of your deck. But you just have to trust that your deck is well constructed and that won't be an issue. And I mean, we played this deck for a long time without Repository Scob, so I think we'll be just fine. You do lose the cute infinite loop thing that never really came up anyway with Blood Celebrant, a pair of Repository Scobs, Songs of the Damned, and Reaping the Graves, but that was super win more and we never actually needed it. So I'm not concerned with losing that. I mean, those are really the big changes. There are 3 islands in the main deck. If you saw the last public video that you can find on the card above, I played 3 islands in the main deck. The idea was that we wanted to support Spell Pierce in the sideboard. We played 3 copies in that video. Today we're playing 4 copies of Spell Pierce. And that is because I think it's the most effective way to deal with graveyard hate in the format at the moment. So the blue-black terror deck has 4 Nihil Spellbomb on the board. Caugate, is playing 2 to 3 relics in the board. The red decks are playing 3 relics in the board. It's not a good time to be a Cycle Stormer. That said, I am someone that is always looking to improve my deck, even against the toughest situations. So I've been really impressed with Spell Pierce in my testing, because it not only... So one of the nice things about it, right, is it's live turn 1 to stop that permanent from ever entering the battlefield, assuming that you're on the play. But most people don't even play Graveyard Hate on the first turn. They'd rather be setting up their creatures or whatever. Sometimes they have tap lands too. So what it does is it applies this weird pressure on the game, because we're a turn 3 to turn 4 combo deck, where your opponent wants to get their threats down and then play their Graveyard Hate traditionally. And then you have Spell Pierce online. So they're afraid to play into Spell Pierce, but they also don't have the luxury of not playing into it, because you might kill them on the 4th turn. You could look to play a hard counter spell like Steel Sabotage, and that's fine, but Spell Pierce stops Red Elemental Blast on your Tolarian Winds, or a Lightning Bolt on your Repository Scob. It's just way more versatile, or maybe even you just dying to a Galvanic Blast. So Spell Pierce just does a lot for us, and that's really what we're looking to accomplish here. We still have a repeal as well to answer a resolved Graveyard Hate piece. I'm not really too concerned with that, but I just wanted to sing my praises for Spell Pierce. I am now on 0 duress. I can't believe it, but it's where I'm at, and I think that it's the correct decision. We still have Writhing Necromass as well to beat some of that graveyard hate. I just want to throw that out there. The card that I'm playing today is Suffocating Fumes. I'm not in love with this card, but I figured I should give it another shake with Caw Gate being the most popular deck in the format. It's really good against mono blue fairies as well, has other applications. You could even get it with a Mystical Teachings if you really wanted to, but I can't imagine a world where that's the correct decision, but hey, it's an option. Those are really the big shakeups between this list and the last two videos that I published with Cycle Storm. I hope you enjoyed the video today. I can't wait to play my favorite Pauper deck again. I'll see you in the first match. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, early access to videos, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, such as theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Round number 1, we are on the play with Cycle Storm. Here we have 2 lands and a Cycler. We have a Reaping the Graves. You just have to trust that your deck is going to draw into more creatures. Keep. Very, very reasonable hand. Okay, we're on the play. Might as well just play out the swamp past the turn. Alright, so we're facing Izzet most likely. Izzet Faeries. We draw another creature, that's terrific. Untap, take a draw. Songs of the Damned. So one thing to do is you could just main phase cycle and be lazy here, but you also want to establish a pattern with your opponent of not showing them how you tap mana, because in the post-board we're boarding in Spell Pierce, so that's more effective than ever to leave up mana on your opponent's turn. You don't want to tip them off that you'd have a Spell Pierce. Okay, we're going to cycle this Drannith Stinger. We find Blood Celebrant. I think we just untap, take a draw. Find Ash Barrens. Not really what we need. We wanted more creatures, but we'll just play out the Blood Celebrant and pass the turn. They play an Ash Barrens. They're getting in. I have to imagine that they have an Ninjutsu creature here. I will not block. Ninja the Deep Hour, surprise, surprise. They get to draw a card. They replay the Faeries here. Unfortunately, I do not have enough creatures to win the game here. Okay, take a draw. Let's cycle. We don't have to worry about blue mana when we have this Blood Celebrant. And we came up short again. I'm going to just pass the turn. Land number 4. They skip their combat. I have to assume that's an accident. 4 mana. Sure. They are now the Monarch. I'm going to Reaping the Graves back my creatures. I feel like we have to do something here. Okay. And then we will cycle. 5 cards in graveyard for Threshold. Another Ash Barrens. Let's cycle this in the upkeep. Pull another land out. Guess I can grab an island, take a draw step. Think it's likely go time here. Cycle the healer. That's going to give me Threshold for Cabal Ritual. Cycle away. Another Cabal Ritual, certainly welcome. Tolarian Winds, what's up? Cycle this. Cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. Vantasaur, okay. Cabal Ritual. That little value Reaping the Graves is now turning into a potential win. We find a Lotus Petal at the end. Okay. So let's play out the petal. Songs of the Damned. So this is going to give me 10 mana. Right here is 6 mana. And then Reaping the Graves would be 9 mana total. So I'd have 2 open mana. Let's convert a black into a blue. Well, Teachings. Go grab Reaping the Graves. Make a blue mana. We're going to hold priority. Cast this Tolarian Winds. That's storm number 6. And then Reaping the Graves for 7, which will return all of our creatures. The nice thing about this play is that we won't have to spend any mana cycling these creatures, and we'll just have a brand new hand. Okay, return everything. If you had more mana floating, you could consider cycling some, but when you're down to 2 available mana, I think that's pretty risky. So we're going to discard that, draw 7 new ones. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly powerful. Our concern here is that we are lacking a little bit, but we still have this Mystical Teachings in the graveyard to go get another copy of Reaping the Graves. Repository Scob, that should probably do it. Let's make a blue, play the Scob, trigger, sacrifice the Scob, return a Songs of the Damned. Songs, play a Lotus Petal, Reaping the Graves, bring everyone home. And at this point, we can just start to win the game. Okay, we've selected all of our targets, return them all to our hand. I love Cycle Storm. This deck is so sweet. Okay, all of our best friends are in our hand now. Let's play a couple copies of Drannith Stinger. First copy. Second copy. And now we get to cycling. We're going to auto-yield to these triggers to make sure they always happen. You can auto-yield to these, and I'm going to right here, but you don't want to if your library's low on count. Because if you do that, then you could potentially deck yourself. Where if you don't auto-yield, you will never deck yourself. You don't have to draw cards when you cycle with Drannith Stingers in play. You can always just respond to the cycle ability of the creature, because there's 2 triggers that happen. There's the cycle trigger, and then there's the draw trigger on this, and then the trigger from Drannith Stinger. So you would never actually have to draw the card. You can just keep on responding to this imposing Vantasaur cycling 1 trigger here until your opponent's dead. That's the idea. And we've gotten game number 1 from Izzet Faeries. I'm going to try boarding in the Suffocating Fumes here. I'm definitely interested in the Spell Pierces. I am not so interested in boarding in Repeal. So that's 5 cards coming in. What to board out? A very reasonable question. I think against a deck like Faeries, you can board down to 1 copies of Mystical Teachings. It's obviously a fine card, but they have Dispels, they have Blast. There's a lot of 1 mana interaction that just ruins your day for this expensive 4 mana card. So I'm okay with boarding down on that. We're still looking for 4 cards at this point. I think it's supposed to be 4 Architects of Will, which I don't love because that brings us down to 19 cyclers. The thing is, you could board out Horror of the Broken Lands, but it gives you a backup plan against Graveyard Hate, and that's really what we're looking to do here. You're looking to be less explosive, but a better overall deck, and I think Tolarian Winds helps carry some of that weight when you board out cyclers. So let's submit this. Game number 2. Good hand, keep. Very good hand, actually. They play a turn 1 forward. Draw. Okay, so we have to hope that they don't play a relic or anything here, so that way I can cycle for Island next turn. Fairy Seer, you've got it. 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. Alright, cycle the Ash Barrens. Go grab Island. Untap, take a draw. Another Ash Barrens. I wonder if I'm supposed to get another island with that, in case I draw a second copy of Spell Pierce. They play a Brainstorm. Alright, let's see if they have the upkeep Ash Barrens to shuffle their deck. They do not. Preordain, sure thing. This will clear one of the cards from the Brainstorm. Island. Another copy of Faeries here. Different card frame. They put 2 on top that time. They're attacking with the Faeries here. We'll go to 19. Let's cycle this Ash Barrens. I will grab an island. And then cycle a Vantasaur. And I'm rewarded for my decision to grab island. Pass the turn. So now they can get in there for 2 with a possible Nijitsu coming. No creatures. Instead, they will just pass the turn. Let's cycle a Vantasaur. Cycle Horror of the Broken Lands. And Drannith Healer. We're moving. Look at us now. Untap, draw. Okay, I'm going to cycle a Vantasaur here. See if we can potentially draw into another land. We do. Let's cycle the Ash Barrens. I don't think I'm supposed to get another island here. I'm going to just grab Swamp. Play a Lotus Petal. Oh, I shouldn't have played this. That was a mistake. So in my head, and now they're going to spell stutter me like an idiot. Well, I'm an idiot for playing the Lotus Petal. Our opponent's an intelligent person for countering this card I shouldn't have played. I was too in my own head about, oh, if I don't hit the land, I need to play the Petal. And then I actually hit the land, and I was still too focused on playing out Lotus Petals. So that's just an error on my part. And we should pass here. Now they can attack for 3. I'll go to 14. Ninja of the Deep Hours. You got it. Do they find the land for the Spell Stutter? They find an Evolving Wilds. Not quite the same. So they could have Dispel, Hydroblast, Pyroblast, Spell Pierce, a number of cards to play off this forward. But we have Spell Pierce on our turn, so I think that this is likely a good spot to potentially go for it. I'm going to tap the island here, because if I draw another Horror of the Broken Lands, I want to cycle it off there. Instead, we draw Tolarian Winds. Untap. Take a draw. Songs of the Damned. Heck yeah. Ball Ritual. They are going to Spell Pierce. I will Spell Pierce their Spell Pierce. So now Cabal Ritual happens. Songs of the Damned. Tap this for a blue. Cast Tolarian Winds. Reaping the Graves for 6. Okay. Return some cards. We have 8 cards. You could cycle some here. The fear is if you draw another Reaping the Graves, it ends up being kind of useless, so I'm not going to do any of that. If you were going to, you should cycle with return 1, cycle 1, return 1, cycle 1 to keep the creature count in your graveyard high if you draw Songs of the Damned. But I knew that I wasn't going to do that, so I just returned everything. So resolve this Tolarian Winds for 8. And look at us now. This hand is terrific. Okay, cycle, cycle, cycle. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Cabal Ritual. Lotus Petal. Let's play another Songs of the Damned. Reaping the Graves. Plenty of Storm count. We're actually a little bit late on creatures, but we did board out our Architect, so, you know, it's to be expected. Okay. I should probably start cycling, actually. 15 mana is not infinite mana. Alright, keep cycling. Few lands there. Spell Pierce. Another Dino. Let's cycle that. Lotus Petal. Cycle of Vantasaur. Cycle Stinger. At some point, yeah, these are all empty. I'm just going to let this resolve. Alright, cycle this. We hit the Repository Scout, which is good. Another Reaping the Graves. We have 20 cards left. This should be a piece of cake. We just have to find the Blood Celebrant. 5 mana left. Play a Lotus Petal. Cabal Ritual. I probably don't even need to find it. Now that I'm thinking about this, I probably just have enough mana and resources here to play 2 Stingers and start going to town. Okay. Tolarian Winds. How about that? What Tolarian Winds really does is it reduces the workload of the rituals that you have, because you no longer need to spend 8 mana to change 8 cards. Instead, it's 2 mana to change 8 cards. And it just really takes pressure off of Songs of the Damned. Okay, play out a Stinger. We will play out another Stinger. Start cycling. 17 cards left in the library. Cycle a Dinosaur. And another Dinosaur. Again. Ooh, I could Wrath of God their board. So what I could do here for the memes is I could cast the Suffocating Fumes, Repository Scob it back, and then cast it again. They're at 12. We should probably play another Stinger. Can never have too many Stingers in play. And our opponent has conceded. We have won the first match. Spell Pierce looked decent. I don't want to say it was perfect, but it certainly looked good there. 4 more matches left to go with Cycle Storm. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. We are back for the second match. I am on the play with Cycle Storm still. Terrific hand. Keep. This deck encapsulates a lot of what I love about Magic, which is probably why it's like my second favorite deck. There's a lot of small micro decisions that end up mattering a lot with this deck, like the order that you cycle cards. Do you Lotus Petal Ash Barrens to cycle first? That sort of thing. And every decision ends up mattering so much because you need to draw your entire library in order to win the game. So, for example, do you cycle with Tolarian Winds on the stack that first game? Those are the sort of questions where a less experienced player may not win that. So it's really optimizing every small decision in order to, ultimately achieve the same thing at the end, which is ping your opponent out with Stingers. But every game is like a new puzzle, and I really enjoy that. So we're going to start off by playing a Swamp here. Our opponent counters with another Swamp. Onslaught, great set. Invasion's better though, my first set. I did play a lot during Onslaught era. My first couple years playing the game, great times. Play our Invasion Island, pass the turn. Will they match with the Onslaught Island? No Onslaught Island. Instead, they're passing. Is it possible that we're playing the Mirror? Cycle. Teachings. Cycle. No land. Take a draw. Cyclistry Wraith. Dark Ritual. Cycle the Architects. There's an Ash Baron, so let's cycle that. Go pull out Swamp, I believe. Play it and pass. 4 creatures in the graveyard. Realistically, our opponent's on mono black here, and I'm sort of fearing a Bazooka Bog, but we'll see. There it is. I opened up my big mouth. It was the risk of cycling to hit that land drop. I knew it was a possibility. So we just lost 4 creatures. Cycle the Architects. We find another Vantasaur on tap. I'm not going to play around Bazooka Bog number 2. Cycle. Cycle. Player Island. Pass the turn. 3 mana for Read the Bones. Oh, come on. Alright, so I have a line here that I don't love, but it's an option. I could go Dark Ritual, Songs of the Damned, Cabal Ritual, Reaping the Graves, return all 3 creatures. Or I let it happen. I think I'm going to let it go. I mean, we're down 7 creatures at this point. I don't think you're supposed to play around second copy of main deck Bazooka Bog, but here we are. We're down 2 Stingers as well, which is relevant. We have 25 creatures in our deck, 23 of them cycle, and we have 7 gone from graveyard. This is not going to be an easy game for us. They discard Guardian of the Guild Pact. We're just going to pass here. Duress. This person just has it all. Jeez. They take the Teachings. I'm not surprised by that. Followed by a Night's Whisper. Sure thing. So I could try to flashback this Teachings here by burning a Dark Ritual, but instead I'm going to just cycle. Okay, another creature is certainly welcome. Repository Scob. They discard a Pristine Talisman. I'm going to play Scob here. They realistically need a Snuff Out to kill this, or else I get the trigger. Return the Teachings. Pass. 3 mana for a Locket, sure. Castigate. Yeah, so now they can remove the Teachings. Sort of a bummer. We're at 37 cards in deck. Let's cycle a healer. To another healer, cycle that. Cycle the Horror. Street Wraith. Can we get a Reaping the Graves? Keep it going. Uh-oh. Cycle the healer. And we ran flat. So we're now 50% of the way through our deck and we have not found a single copy of Reaping the Graves. Divest. Sure. They take the Blood Celebrant. Pristine Talisman. Draw. Another Ritual. Pass the turn. We're reaping the graves away from victory at this point. Radiant Fountain. They have 5 in hand. Guardian of the Guild Pact. Draw. Come on, deck. We also haven't found Tolarian Winds or the Dahada's Ploy. We have 1 more Mystical Teachings as well. There's Pestilence. Time is running out. Draw. You know what? I'll take it. Let's play... How do I want to do this? Alright, we're going to Cabal Ritual. Allow that to resolve. Hold priority on Songs of the Damned. And then I'm going to Tolarian Winds. Because I want to be able to cycle with the songs on the stack. There we go. Cycle. Dark Ritual. Let's let the songs go. Firm's only 4. Yeah, we'll let this happen. Teachings. Go grab another songs. Let's play this the hottest ploy. Okay. Goodbye Cabal Ritual, songs. Flashback the teachings. Grab another songs. Cast it. Just trying to increase storm count here. Reaping the Graves. Repository Scob first. And then just return everyone else. So normally I return Street Rates first, but in this instance, I'm not really looking to Songs of the Damned. I mean, there's still 1 left in the deck, I believe, but I've already played 3 at this point. And I'm more focusing on how to beat this Pestilence and the removal in my opponent's hand. Okay. I think I want to start off with the Blood Celebrant. Cycle. And this is mostly a trick to get them to try to kill it with the Pestilence. We find another Tolarian Winds. I don't think I want to use that. Cycle. Okay. Play a Dark Ritual. Cycle a Healer. Lotus Petal. Cycle another Healer. 12 cards left in deck at the moment. Cycle Street Wraith. There's that last songs. Cycle. Cycle down to 13. Cycle this Architects. Cycle Vantasaur. Okay, so I'm going to make a blue here. See if they respond and try to kill the Repository Scob. Triggers. They do not. Okay. So they're all in on just killing my Stingers. Return Songs of the Damned. Cast Songs. Cast Songs. Reaping the Graves. Return everyone. Trying to click a little quicker. Because we're down to 18 minutes already and I still need to actually win this game. Okay. Let's cycle an Architects. 31 mana floating. What do we draw? We have 2 Stingers. We drew another Reaping the Graves. Cycle this. Cycle. 3 cards. That's a Lotus Petal. Cycle. There's 1. Cycle the Healer. Alright, we're going to cycle 1 more time. This gives us the bottom Drannith Stinger. Play the Stinger. Play this Stinger. Make blue. Make blue. Make a red. Make red. Going to allow Pestilence to happen. We'll allow that to happen. Reaping the Graves. This is the wrong time to do this because now I can return this Stinger too. So I get everything. So that would have been a valid line for our opponent. They don't know that I actually just have another Reaping the Graves and a Scob, but they could have played around that a little bit better and potentially won this game. Instead, even with their double Bazooka Bog, main deck Duress, Castigate hand, I'm going to win. Alright, so now we play the pair of Stingers again. Alright, we're back at it. Once again, I'm going to turn off auto yields here. And now I can demonstrate the way to properly do this without decking yourself. So we have 0 cards in our deck. We're just never going to allow this draw trigger to happen. We're going to always respond to the draw trigger and only let the damage triggers happen. It's going to be easy peasy. Cycle. Okay. Keep it going. Cycle, cycle, cycle. They're at 5, going to 3 off this. Cycle the Vantasaur. And then let's kill them by cycling Ash Barrens. You know, there's a lot of fun in killing people with a harmless land. We've gotten game number 1 over Orzhov. So we know that they have Bazooka Bog. They might have something like Nile Spellbomb. The question is, do you want a board for that? It's a tough one. I don't really know. Like, I don't think Spell Pierce is actually super effective in that regard. So I'm not interested in boarding Spell Pierce. If anything, I would board in like 1 Repeal and call it a day. So let's try this, and we can probably just board out like an Architects. Game number 2, we have no creatures in this hand. I think I'm actually going to keep it due to having Dahada's Ploy. Just the looting effect, I think, is going to be pretty good. And here they lead off with Duress. Another reason to not mulligan is that in these matchups, every mulligan is so backbreaking against the deck with Duress and Castigate. We find our first creature. There's Spellbomb. Okay, this is going to be an uphill battle. Cycle this Ash Barrens. Draw. Pass the turn. Castigate. Yeah, do your thing. We're going to be down another Reaping the Graves here. Orzhov Basilica. Yep. Maybe I should bring in the Necromasses. I mean, I traditionally don't like it in this matchup, but our opponent is playing a very hateful list. There's Horror. I mean, I could try to slam that. I don't know. Repeal is a decent draw. Play the Swamp and Pass. Block it. And the Crossroads yet again. They have 3 in hand. Let's play Dahada's Ploy. I'm still not sure if I want to try playing out the Horror of the Broken Lands or not. Because I could just try to go beat down here. Get rid of the Ash Barrens, I think. Draw. We're going to just pass. They have 3 in hand. Read the Bones. They put 2 on top. That's pretty dangerous. Interesting. See if I can get them to crack the Spellbomb. Nope. Alright, so the Dress will resolve. They can take a Ritual or Songs. Both are kind of average. And the Spellbomb is back. I think I'm just going to play the Horror here. Hope that they boarded out all the removal. 3 mana. 4 mana. This is what I thought would happen if I played out the Horror of the Broken Lands, and then it happened. I knew that this was a risk. I'm going to jumpstart the Dahada's Ploy, discard Lotus Petal. Get rid of the Vantasaur, play Island, and then we'll pass. So one way to get through this is to just play a second copy, but I would need to draw another Mana Source. Could also potentially start playing Street Wraiths. Castigate, you've got it. They take Stinger. I don't think this game is about Drannith Stinger anymore. I mean, granted, I don't know the 3 cards that they have in hand. I could be wrong. They play Night's Whisper down to 21 life. Double white. For an Irration Cleric, sure. They have 3 in hand. We draw Reaping. It's just not good here, though. Going to pass. I have 3 creatures, so maybe if they play a bunch of spells, I can, like, value Reaping. Maybe get them to crack the spell bomb. Pestilence, okay. They have 2 in hand. Reaping the Graves for 2. It's worth noting that the beatdown plan will no longer beat them due to this Pestilence. Cycle the Vantasaur. Cabal Ritual. Play the Cabal Ritual. Cast Horror of the Broken Lands. I mean, this is really the only opportunity I have to win this game. They have a Castigate. Yep. They take Street Wraith. Surprise, surprise. Drannith Stinger. Go to combat. Okay. Pass the turn. End step, they can Pestilence for 5. So there's 1, 2. So now their next one, we will have to respond by cycling. And now here's 3. We will cycle a Drannith Healer. They cycle, we will cycle again. The Pestilence can happen. I draw songs. Now they can untap if they choose to, they can try to kill the horror again. Wait, I just realized, did I lose my horror somehow? How did that die? I don't know what happened. I think I messed up somewhere. I genuinely don't know how my other horror died. I must have missed something. Palace Sentinel, so they have 1 black open and an Isle Spell Bomb. Alright, cycle of Vantasaur. Cycle Architects. Okay, untap, take a draw. Tolarian Winds. We have 2 copies of Reaping the Graves left. 1 copy of Reaping the Graves left. We are not going to win this game. Songs of the Damned. We have the only way we win this now is if our opponent misplays. So that happened. Let's cycle a Street Wraith. Cycle a Healer. Did not need that. Cycle the Stinger. Teachings. Okay. I can get the last Reaping. I just don't know how good that actually is. Let's try to Winds here. See if they respond to the Winds. They do not. Alright, I'm gonna quit wasting my time here. We're down to 8 minutes. I'm just gonna go to game 3. How do I want to play against Mono Black? I think this might be the time to board in these Necromasses. 64 cards. I think I'm actually going to do something crazy here and try to board out Lotus Petal. This is not a speed-based matchup, so I'm not going to play it like one. Let's try to slow down. Let's keep our threat density high and just play at a more reasonable pace. I mean, I'm going to keep this, but I really wish this Ash Barrens was something else. Play the Barrens, pass the turn. Swamp. Into Duress, yep. Goodbye, Reaping the Graves. Ooh, they take the Ritual. It's a little surprising. Cycle. Go to our turn, untap, draw. Cycle the Stinger. There we go. Pass the turn. Well, I guess that's why they left the Reaping the Graves. Yep. Into Bog. You got it. Cycle. Untap, draw. I'm going to try to hit my lands here. Cycle. Again. Pass the turn. Ooh, they don't have another land. If I songs, I can play the Necromass, but if they have any 2-mana removal, they just kill it. I think I'm going to pass. They find a white source, so now they have Castigate online. Draw. Cycle the Vantasaur. Another Necromass. I'm just going to pass the turn here. I mean, I want to go, I just don't think it's the right move. Land number 4. Block it. And there's the Castigate. Alright, so let's Songs of the Damned. And then Reaping for 4. Hold on, I'm going to Songs again. This is the best move in my opinion. And then we just show them a hand of a bunch of stuff. That, like, there's no, like, real all-stars in this hand. But it's just, like, a bunch of cards and then I can cycle. So now we let the Castigate resolve. We have 6 minutes. This is certainly doable. And they take the Scob. Very reasonable decision. Cycle. Cycle. Another Reaping. Cycle. No lands, though. Okay. Untap, take a draw. Cycle the Ash Barrens. Grab an island. Cycle Architects. I don't think I can play this guy yet. Needs 1 more mana. Pass the turn. They have 4 cards in hand. Another Castigate, so Reaping the Graves is about to leave. Reaping's gone. Pristine Talisman, 3 cards. Okay, so they do not have a Spell Bomb. Ball Ritual, untap, take a draw. Another Necromass. These should be 1 mana now. Question is, do I burn the Cabal Ritual to put 3 into play? I think the answer is just no. Pass the turn. 5 minutes left. Guardian of the Guild Pact, 2 open mana, Scoured Barrens, 2 cards. Cast down 1 card in hand. Draw. Let's cycle this. Island. Play it. Play another Necromass. Pass the turn. Death Touch doesn't get through protection from monocolored. There's no reason to make that attack. They draw a card with Locket. They now have 4 in hand. They Edict me. Yeah, that's pretty good. Another Scoured Barrens. They have 2 cards in hand. I'm going to Dahada's Ploy here. Discard the Tolarian Winds. No. Let's get rid of the Vantasaur. Draw. Repeal. That doesn't bounce the Guardian of the Guild Pact. Cycle Stinger. Alright, we're less than 5 minutes now. Cycle. I'm gonna flashback or jumpstart this ploy. Discard Blood Celebrant. Discard the repeal. Cycle that for a land. Pass the turn. Alright, 4 minutes. Another Castigate. What a rip. That was crippling. They don't attack. 4 minutes. Cycle the Street Wraith. Alright, I have to wins here. We'll draw 2 new ones. Cycle Architects. Cycle Horror. Cycle Healer. So this would only be for Storm 3. They have 2 in hand. I'm going to wait. Yep. I don't think I'm going to be able to win this in 3 minutes. They're going to upkeep Scry. My repository scope is gone. Maybe I was supposed to just reaping for 3 last turn. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Okay. Return Necromass. And I don't know. Horror of the Broken Lands. They have 2 in hand. We have 3 minutes on clock. Come on. Now I feel foolish for grabbing the 3rd island. I guess it doesn't, at least right now it doesn't matter. That was good. Ball Ritual. Necromass. They conceded! Yes! We did it! Wow. 3 minutes left on clock, and what a match against Orzhov. That was riveting, super exciting. I hope you enjoyed it. Match 3 will be coming up in just a moment. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. On the play for match number 3, we've opened up double the Reap in the Graves, double Cycler. This seems like a reasonable selection to me. Okay, Swamp, pass the turn. Mountain, Epicure, okay. Burn. So we were looking to hit land number 2 and more cyclers, possibly find a Songs of the Damned. Step number 3, let's see if we can hit another land here. Alright, no luck on the land. Pass. Land number 2 for the opponent. Monastery Swiftspear. Kuldotha Rebirth, yeah. So they're going to get in for 3 and I'll fall to 16. They still have 4 in hand. Draw. Okay, cycle the Vantasaur. I think I'm going to pass the turn here. So you might be thinking, why not cycle the Street Wraith? I don't need them to know how much life I have to work with. So they play an Epicure. Into another Rebirth, okay. Yeah. So we're at 9, take a draw. There's the Ash Barrens. Let's cycle the Street Wraith. Dark Ritual's a good hit. Let's... So if I go get an island... You know what? I don't think I'm going to win this turn anyway, so let's go grab island. Try to make this the hottest play a little bit better. Cycle the Healer. This will give me 5 mana off of the songs. Okay. Play a Lotus Petal. This is only a reaping for 4. I'm gonna ploy. Discard the Blood Celebrant. I'm at 11. Maybe I'm just supposed to jumpstart the ploy here. Cycle the Vantasaur. Songs. Okay. Let's cast that Songs. Lotus Petal. I guess we're going to try to bring everyone back. From number 7, Street Wraith, and then the rest. Okay, so we're going to go back down to 9. Cabal Ritual is a great draw here. Cycle that. Cycle the Vantasaur. Cycle Horror of the Broken Lands. We've already played our land for turn. Cycle. And again. Another land. Cycle this Imposing Vantasaur. Cycle the Healer. Lotus Petal. Cycle this Vantasaur. Dark Ritual. Returns another Healer. Ash Barrens. And then the Celebrant. Okay, so at this point I think we're supposed to jumpstart the ploy and pass. Discard the Ash Barrens. So I could Reaping the Graves and refill for next turn as well. Discard the island. We're at 25, which is a lot of life. Dark Ritual. Reaping the Graves. Street Wraith, and then the rest. Okay. So we're supposed to cycle the Street Wraith first here, because if I happen to draw Songs of the Damned, I didn't. We could continue trying to win. Okay, pretty stocked hand at this point. 23 life. I think you're supposed to just take your cycle and discard some stuff. Another Reaping. The fear is if I don't draw a Songs of the Damned next turn, we could be dead. Okay. They have 9 damage on board. I'm at 13 life. If you think about it, they have 4 cards in hand. That only bought me a turn. That 15 life that I gained. Chromatic Star. I have 2 songs in the graveyard already. 1 Cabal Ritual, so there's 2 of those left. I've used 2 Dark Rituals. No, I've used 3 Dark Rituals. I only have 1 Dark Ritual left. And they're representing lethal, so we have to do something here. I'm at 9, take a draw. That's not what I needed. Cycle a Healer. Not looking good. Cycle. Too late. Can't play that. I'm probably just dead. That's a real bummer. We have to pass. They already have lethal on board. No need to even play a spell from hand. Okay, now they're going to attack for lethal. Yep. That's a little disappointing. I feel like our deck kind of fell short there. Okay, Spell Pierce coming in. I'm fine with boarding down a Teachings. They're boarding in Pyroblast, so it can be a little bit awkward. And then I'm never winning via beatdown against them, so I'm going to board out Horror of the Broken Lands. That's the game plan. Yes, I'd like to be on the play. Sure. This could be a little awkward if we don't find the Reaping the Graves. Island past the turn. Mountain into Swiftspear. Cycle. Now we have Spell Pierce for a possible relic. They get in, we go to 19. Play the Swamp. Pass the turn. Synthesizer. I'm going to cycle the Vantasaur. If I drew another Spell Pierce, I would consider countering this. And they flip a Mountain, which is honestly their best thing that they could hit here. Chain Lightning, yep. Ouch. Now they can attack for 3, I'll go to 13. Cycle the Vantasaur. Yeah. Reaping the Graves. Going to cycle. Am I supposed to go for it? Only 4. 4 creatures, that is. What are the odds that the Spell Pierce will keep me alive? That's another question. I think I'm going to pass. Kuldotha Rebirth. So this becomes very bad if they have a Goblin Bushwhacker. We can look at the trigger from the synthesizer. It's a land. So if they have the Bushwhacker, that would put me to 1. 1 doesn't kill me. I'm going to let it go. Wait, actually a Bushwhacker would have been lethal. I forgot about the prowess trigger. That's my bad. So this is going to put me to 5. No blocks. Spell Piercer, Galvanic Blast. And now it's time for me to go. I'm at 4 life. Cycle the Stinger. Play the first songs. That gives me Threshold for Cabal Ritual. Cabal Ritual. Cycle the Imposing Vantasaur. Cycle Stinger. Cabal Ritual. Lotus Petal. I'm going to hold shift on this Songs of the Damned. And then Reaping the Graves. I need it for Storm, but we don't want the mana to happen yet. Return Street Wraith and then the rest. This is going to put me to 2. I just realized that I forgot to board in the other, the Hottest Ploy. That's why it's in the sideboard. And I cannot cycle that Street Wraith until we find the Hottest Ploy. And Tolarian Winds is pretty good here. Cycle. Okay, making some mana. Not going to cycle Ash Barrens. Cycle the Healer. Architects. Okay, now we're going to do some dangerous stuff. Cycle. We're going to let this resolve. So Songs ended up making 2 additional mana. We currently have 9 creatures in graveyard. So if I sacrifice this for a blue, hold control, cast Tolarian Winds, Reaping the Graves, this will return every creature in our graveyard. Okay. This game goes back to those micro decisions that I talked about with the Spell Pierce. Like, how long do you actually sit on Spell Pierce? Do you try to beat the Relic there, which is what I was trying to do? I could have died to a Goblin Bushwhacker, so that would have made me have egg on my face, but there's so many really intricate things about this deck, and that's the reason I love it. Dark Ritual. We have not found the Reaping the Graves yet, but also, like, look at what this was a really bad draw 14. I guess I could play out the Healer to gain some life. Play the Island. Let's play the Healer. Cycle this Ash Barrens. Which may seem silly, but it's about to replace itself too. Okay, so now I'm at 3. I'm going to go down to 1 and cycle the Street Wraith. Okay. Can't cycle that one, unfortunately. Repository Scob. We're going to exploit this. Return Reaping the Graves. Make 15 mana with the songs. Reaping the Graves. Return everyone. Okay, all of our creatures have been selected. We are now returning them. We have 18 cards left in our library. Okay, I'm at 2 life. Guess there's no reason to put myself dead to Fire Blast here. Let's cycle the Architects, go up to 3. Play this. I guess I wouldn't have been dead to Fire Blast anyway. I could have cycled and gained life. Took me a second to think about it. Okay. So now I guess I'll go to 1 because I can't die to a gut shot here. Start cycling. Drannith Healer doing some work. Okay, auto yield to those, cycle. Have to click your triggers once you have multiple cycle triggers on the stack. Okay, and at this point we just need to finish cycling out and win. Alright, we're at 5. Just keep on gaining life and dealing damage. I could play another Stinger here, but what we have is fine. Mana's not really a concern because of these 4 street wraiths. That does represent 8 free damage. Play a Lotus Petal. Cycle a street wraith. And another. Dark Ritual. Draw. Cycle street wraith. And that'll do. So now we're going to game number 3, and I should probably bring this Dada's Ploy in. The question is, what do you board out for it? I guess there's also some question like, what is the correct number of street wraiths? Maybe I should board a couple of these out and board in like 2 horrors. And I think maybe Teachings gets boarded out for the ploy. Let's try this. I'm always changing how I sideboard, trying to figure out optimal configurations. I think if you get too comfortable with one, you miss the opportunity to find something better. And this hand's just great. We're going to keep this. This is a hand with turn 3 potential. And there's the relic before we can even spell pierce it. Okay, I'm just going to be lazy, go grab our swamp now. This is not the end of the world. We can theoretically beat this. And I guess by doing that now, it likely won't matter, but it could. It would have been better if I did it on their turn, because it's 1 less card they could exile from my graveyard. Swift Spear plus Voldaren Epicure. Alright, so they're going to get in. We'll take 1. Draw for turn, Songs of the Damned. I'm going to play a Lotus Petal here. This is so that I could sacrifice something to the relic if our opponent taps out. So if they tap out again, I'm going to try to win on my turn 3. And I need a non-creature to be exiled to the relic, so I really need them to tap out here. Synthesizer. Yep. Fire Blast. Galvanic Blast me? Sure. I'm at 14. They're attacking for 4. This puts me to 10. Second main, no land. Okay, this is our window. Sacrifice the Lotus Petal, cycle this Imposing Ventusaur. So now if they relic, I can exile the Lotus Petal. This is our shot, our one opportunity to seize the moment, or some other meme. Cycle. Cycle. Okay, Spell Pierce, not what we needed here. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Cycle a Healer. Lotus Petal. Cycle Stinger. Another Spell Pierce. Songs of the Damned. Reaping the Graves for 5. Thin Margins. Okay. Cycle Ventusaur. Cycle. Not looking good at the moment. Cycle again. Jeez. Cycle. We're returning 2 here. I think I should just let these happen. So I can play the Ash Barrens, but then it's figuring out what we should do after that. So I could Tried to go Cabal Ritual, Blood Celebrant, creature, pass with Spell Pierce back up. We know that our opponent's landlocked a little bit. I don't think it's the craziest thing. Red, white, Stinger, healer. Pass the turn. They use Relic immediately. I just need to draw running cycling creatures. 1 red. Kuldotha Rebirth. I'm going to Spell Pierce this. They find a Chain Lightning. I'm going to block with the Celebrant. Or should I take it? I'll block. Okay. They have 3 in hand. Cycle a Stinger. So we're going to gain a life, deal them an extra damage. Okay. Find another island. That doesn't really help. I'm not blocking, so I'm just going to swing out. I should be able to stay alive with a Spell Pierce in hand. They have 3 cards in hand going up to 4. They find land 3. Searing Blaze, I'm going to attempt to Spell Pierce this. Okay, I have no hand. They play a Chromatic Star. They swing for 4, I'm going to go to 5. Draw. Oh, another land. Swing with the healer. Pass the turn. I'm probably dead here. They draw a card with Chromatic Star. Well, Darren up here, I go to 4. This does give them 3 artifacts if they have Galvanic Blast, another Swift Spear. They have 1 in hand. It's a star. So I'm forced to block with Stinger and I go to 1. This is not going to be a victory. I held back the swamp to bluff, but I guess I could have played it out. I don't know. Cycle Architects. Draw. Cycle Horror. Draw. It doesn't help me. Yeah, I'm dead. Pass the turn. Alright, I'll pick it up. So we lost a burn. Or Kuldotha Red, if you would like to call it. I don't really care. A lot of people in previous videos are like, you know, if you played Gnaw to the Bone, this wouldn't be a problem. And I feel like that's sort of not understanding what the matchup is about anymore. And I talked about that, I believe, in my last public video, where this matchup now is really about stopping the Relic of Progenitus from ever happening. Like, really, we lost this game to them opening up on Relic. And having something like Gnaw to the Bone is embarrassing. It's this 3-mana card that you have to cycle for basic forest. You then have to spend an entire turn to... I mean, 3 mana. It's 3 mana to gain maybe 3 to 6 life, assuming that your opponent doesn't have a relic. And then you can spend another full turn to gain 8 life. Meanwhile, your opponent's playing things like Kuldotha Rebirth now that are worth more than 1 for 3 damage, because it deals you 3 and then it deals you 6 and then 9 and etc. So what I found is that those effects aren't that good anymore, but they also don't really matter. Like, when you're sitting with life gain and your opponent has a Relic of Progenitus, they're going to end up winning. And so I've moved away from the green splash. I did lose this match. I did draw Spell Pierce. I understand. But I still think in the long run, you'll have better results with Spell Pierce than you would something like Gnaw to the Bone or even Weather the Storm. I've tested both again recently. I'm just not convinced that it's what you should be doing. I think that right now, you should be stopping or trying to stop relics and then just trying to be the better combo deck. Here, I was not the better combo deck and I lost. That happens sometimes too. There is a fail rate to playing Magic the Gathering. But I'm going to get off my soapbox now and head over to match number 4. Hope to see you there. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. We are on the draw for the fourth match. I'm going to keep this, but it's a little bit suspect. We only have one creature despite the rest of the hand being fairly good. And it looks like we're going to have another opportunity to try to beat Kuldotha Red. Draw. We don't find the land that we want. Let's just cycle for the island. Well, let me. There we go. A little bit of a delay there. Pass the turn. Mountain into Swift Spear plus Kuldotha Rebirth. That's quite the start. I go to 16. Draw for turn. Beautiful. Cycle this healer. Cycle the Horror of the Broken Lands. Pass the turn. Alright, we drew two more creatures. I don't think that this hand is capable of a turn 3 without some really good draws. They still have 3 cards in hand. They're about to draw a 4th for their upkeep. Or, well, for their draw step. My bad. I misspoke. Another Kuldotha Rebirth. Wow. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Gnaw to the Bone. The red decks have changed. These weren't lightning bolts, right? Like, this dealt me 3 next turn. That's 6 damage for 1 red mana. Gnaw to the Bone is not effective against these sort of effects. Draw for turn, and I have to go here. I don't really have a choice. They have 2 in hand. We're going to cycle Street Wraith. 3 creatures in graveyard. Let's Dark Ritual. Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal. The question is, what are those 2 cards? And am I dead if I try to cycle the Street Wraith? Cycle. Did not need a 3rd copy of Reaping the Graves. Cycle. Cycle again. Teachings. I cannot cast that. I have to cycle the Street Wraith at this point. Go to 6. Another Teachings. Yeah, clunky hand did not get there. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to try boarding out Street Wraith entirely. I just want to see how it goes. Board in the Spell Pierce, and then we want the Dahada's Ploy, and for that you can take out a Teachings. Could try the Repeal as well, but I think I'm going to pass on that. Game number 2, on the play. Sure. For what it's worth, there is a really cool combo between Horror of the Broken Lands and Tolarian Winds. Horror of the Broken Lands says whenever you cycle or discard a card, it gets +2/+1. So with Tolarian Winds, you're just supercharging your Horror of the Broken Lands for lethal. I've done it a few times in my life. It's pretty great. Alright, turn 1 Swift Spear. Let's cycle this Drannith Healer. We find the Spell Pierce. Okay. We'll take 1 going to 19. Draw for turn. Cabal Ritual. Pass. Land number 2. Another Swift Spear. And Relic. Spell Pierce that. Cycle this Horror. We drew another Dark Ritual. That doesn't really help me right now. They have 3 cards in hand. Draw for turn. Cycle this Vantasaur. I don't think I'm supposed to just put a Horror into play. That seems so ridiculous. If they have double Relic, they have double Relic. Reckless Impulse. Land Bolt. So they're swinging for 4. This would put me to 11 if they don't use the Lightning Bolt. They do not. So they lost out on 2 damage there. Draw for turn. Well, it's now or never. They could have something like a Pyroblast in hand, which is why they didn't make this play. Cycle. Spell Pierce. Cabal Ritual. We only have 4 creatures, so I can return these. Try to get a little bit more out of the Songs of the Damned. Lotus Petal. Cycle the Horror. And again, another Spell Pierce. I'm returning 2 creatures off this. I guess I'll Songs. I'm not loving the spot that I'm currently in. Okay. Play out the Lotus Petal. Cycle this Vantasaur. Cycle Vantasaur. Again, cycle. Dark Ritual. Let's attempt a Tolarian Winds for 3. Well, that was fairly decent. I won't pretend that it wasn't. Okay, so we have 6 creatures that are being returned. Okay, cycle the Healer. Cycle Architects. Songs. So we need to find another Reaping the Graves here. Cycle. Teachings is fine. Cycle. Goddess Ploy is decent. Cycle this. And these are all empty. No, that's getting back 1 creature. Okay. Cycle the Healer. Finds another Lotus Petal. Interesting spot we're in at the moment. I think I'm supposed to ploy. We find some averageness. This is going to buy me a lot of time, though. Yeah, I'm at 29 now. I think I'm going to sit on the Songs of the Damned. Pass the turn. Turn off the auto yield. I realize that I shouldn't do that when they have relics in their deck, because I could theoretically draw into a Spell Pierce. They have a blood token, 2 cards in hand. They are swinging. Ouch, 21. Cycle the Healer. We find a dinosaur. Draw for turn. Another Songs. They have 2 in hand. Cycle the dinosaur. Songs. I've already played a land, so there's not really a whole lot of point in doing that. Let's attempt to Teachings. That resolves. We have 2 Reaping the Graves left and a Repository Scob. Let's jumpstart the ploy. Increase that storm count just a hair. Okay. Songs of the Damned. 1, 2, 3. That's all 4 songs. Tough spot to be in. So at this point, we're really trying to hit the Repository Scob with Spell Pierce back up. Because it's the only way we can effectively Songs of the Damned again. Okay, cycle. 20 cards left in deck. Cycle this Architects. Sure. I mean, our choke point's mana at the moment. Cycle. Again, cycle. Okay. Cycle. I mean, all the 4 songs are gone. I guess I can just return these. Because I'm not cycling to any rituals. Cycle the Horror. Cycle Architects. We found the Scob. Alright, pass the turn. Interesting. They had 2 cards in hand, did not use the blood token on the end step with 2 open mana. They attack for 3. I go to 21. I'm going to just pass the turn here. This time they are using the blood token. So whatever they have in their hand is good. We know that much. I have 1 Spell Pierce left in my deck. So it's not going to protect the Scob unless they tap some mana. Okay. The Spell Pierce is looking less and less effective. I'm going to flashback this and see if it draws out a Pyroblast. It does not. Grab the Cabal Ritual. Play the land. Cabal Ritual. Let's attempt to play Repository Scob. Trigger. Yeah, so our choke point this game is now mana. Okay, Reaping the Graves. It looks like our Celebrant is still in our deck. This is my last Reaping the Graves, I believe. 1, 2, 3, it is. So we can return the Repository Scob. Horror of the Broken Lands, Horror of the Broken Lands. Healer. Play a Stinger. Pass the turn. They have 3 in hand. No blocks. There's no reason to risk the Stinger dying to something silly, so let's just take it. They bolt me. That's interesting. They have 2 in hand. I'm going to go to 15. This is 5 damage. They Galvanic Blast me. Sure. That's 7 damage. Is this a Fire Blast? Wow! I just died. Hot damn for exact damage. I can't believe they killed me from 19 life, was it? So I guess I can just count it. 13, 15, 18 life. That's impressive. Yeah, they got me. Wow. That's a bummer. There's the Blood Celebrant. Not that it would have mattered much there, but sheesh. Outplayed. Alright, 2 and 2. I'm still a believer in the Spell Pierce plan. I really am. Maybe you can complement it with a couple green spells if that's what you're into. Maybe I'll do that in the next video just to see how it goes again. But I am a true believer that you want to be playing 4 Spell Pierce in the matchup. I don't know about the sideboard ploy. I think obviously you want the main deck copy. But maybe you cut like the repeal and the sideboard ploy for 2 green spells, and then you cut another card for like a basic forest. Like, it gets a little awkward. It really does, but I'm just going to try to win match number 5 and see how that goes. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. Let's get those play points back. We are on the play for match number 5. Nope. I guess so. This is a little bit weird. Get rid of the Lotus Petal. Island and pass the turn. Ooh, okay. So we're facing the Blue-Black Terror deck. Admittedly, I don't have a whole lot of experience in this matchup, but I do know that they play 4 Nihil Spellbombs in the sideboard. I'm not looking forward to that. Pass the turn. That's an Augur. They find no cards with the Augur of Bolas. It's never happened to me before in my life. Definitely not during Delver's Secret Standard. Okay. Tap, take a draw. Cycle this Architect's Will. Cycle the Stinger. No payoff yet. Pass. Another Augur. They find a preordained and they cast it. Sure thing. Draw. There we go. Dark Ritual. Trying to figure out how I want to do this. I think I burn one Songs of the Damned. That gets me to Threshold. We play Cabal Ritual. And now this is going to be kind of a cool play. We will hold priority on Songs of the Damned. Tolarian Winds. Reaping the Graves. Alright, so this is one of those situations where you do want to cycle because you have the Songs of the Damned floating, and we want to increase the amount of mana that can possibly make. So we'll cycle again here. Okay, cycle the Architects. Cycle this. Beautiful. Alright, so we ended up squeezing a couple extra mana out of that. Or actually, no, we did not. My bad. I lied. We didn't squeeze any extra mana out. But now no, we did. This is 4 and we're discarding 3. So it's going to make 7 mana instead of 4. But we did not find another Reaping the Grave, so we have 7 floating mana. Cycle the Vantasaur. Cycle Architects. Cycle Stinger. Another Tolarian Winds. Cycle Healer. Ding! Okay, feeling pretty confident right now. Ball Ritual. Once again, hold priority, Tolarian Winds. Reaping the Graves. Return everything you can. So we failed to return one creature, but that's just fine. This is a huge draw spell for us. No point in cycling when it's going to be a draw 10, draw 9. Like, if I cycle this and draw into another Reaping the Graves, that's an actual issue, and I don't want that to happen. Ball Ritual. Lotus Petal. Cycle the Street Wraith. Cycle the Healer. Cycle Healer. 21 cards left. Cycle this Vantasaur. Cycle the Stinger. Songs of the Damned. I guess I drew the Dark Ritual. I should have Dark Ritualed into Imposing Vantasaur there. Sometimes I formulate a plan in my head before my spells are done resolving, and then I just like don't reevaluate once the cycle finally happens. Alright, 15 cards. Let's Reaping the Graves, return all of our friends. Okay, returned everyone that I could. And now we are returning them. I have a total of 16 mana. There's at least 2 Stingers in there, so I can play 2 Stingers and cycle at least 10 times. We have guaranteed lethal already in hand. Alright, sacrifice for a red. Play this Stinger. And another Stinger. No Snuff Out. Okay. Cycle. And again. They're at 16. I can play another Stinger here. Cycle. Deal 3 now. Another Lotus Petal was the draw. Cycle this Horror of the Broken Lands. Draw off that. And another Horror of the Broken Lands. We draw the Blood Celebrant. So I know that I'm not like trying to count my chickens or anything, but I think if you look at this video, the power of Tolarian Winds was really recognized. Like this deck felt more powerful having it in there. Yes, it's not good when you have 2 cards in hand in a Tolarian Winds, but it made us faster, which is another reason that I felt like you don't necessarily need the green spells against red. That said, I did go 0-2 versus red tonight, so what do I know? But like the idea is that if you can just make your average goldfish faster, you won't need life gain spells. That was sort of the concept. And then I sort of fell flat. I don't really have any excuse for that. It's sort of just like how the games went tonight. But that was the method, which is if you can turn 3 or turn 4 more consistently with Tolarian Winds, there's a good chance you don't need those green sideboard cards. Real life didn't play out that way. We're now going to board in Spell Pierce. I wonder about the Writhing Necromass. The weird thing about them is our opponent's deck is based on putting 5/5s into play. So all it does is trade with their creatures, and that's not really what we want to be doing. That said, they are a 4 Spellbomb deck, so like it's a really tough call. I think I'm going to try Spell Pierce and Repeals. Get rid of 1 Teachings. Do I dare take out Lotus Petals? I think I'm going to try it against the blue-black control deck with the 4 spell bombs. Like, I just don't think I'm going to be able to outrace that. Okay. Keep. Island. Pass the turn. Reaping the Graves number 3. Not what we wanted here. Swamp into Augur. Cycle the Sash Barons. Grab an island. You have an Augur Bolas. They find Snuff out. Sure. Dark Ritual, pass the turn. They attack with the Augur, we'll fall to 19. Oh, you're ninjas! And I just assumed that they were the blue-black Dimir Terror deck. Okay. I guess that's what happens when you assume. I think we actually did the right board plan then. I mean, that's not true. I would have still brought in the Writhing Necromass, but it's not the worst. Cycle the Healer. No creature. Awkward. Draw. Pass the turn. Ninja the Deep Hours attacks. We fall to 16. Augur is back. They find a Preordain. And they're going to choose to leave open Spellstutter Sprite rather than cast Preordain. Cycle the Stinger. We'll untap. Draw. Land. That's beautiful. Pass the turn. We are looking to value Reaping the Graves on their end step. Land number 5. They get another ninja trigger. Preordained. Storm 1. 2 on the bottom. On their end step, let's Dark Ritual. That happened. Reaping the Graves to return our 3 creatures. We know that they have 8 cards and one of them is a Snuff out. Cycle Healer. Blood Celebrant was the draw. Cycle this Imposing Vantasaur. And the Drannith Stinger. Tolarian Winds. They discard Counterspell. Wow. Alright, cycle this Street Wraith. Ooh. What to do, what to do. This could be a nice window for us. Cycle a Healer. Songs of the Damned. I think I'm going to respond with another Songs. I was double Spell Stutter. No counterspell here. I could not Spell Pierce. They got me. Okay, we have to pass. If they have another ninja, they get to put Spell Stutter back in their hand. So they're attacking for 5, which would put me to 6. I think I've missed my window this game. Cycle the Stinger. Architects of Will. We'll take a draw step. Repository Ska. We know that they have a snuff out. I just can't imagine how I win this now. Ball Ritual. I could have tried to play... Yeah, alright, they got me. I could have tried to play Cabal Ritual instead of the second songs, hoping that they didn't have a counterspell, but I think I just missed it. I'm going to bring in our Necromasses and this Suffocating Fumes. Get rid of the Teachings. We have 64 cards. Get rid of the Ploy, we don't need that. 63 now. I think we're just shifting plans and we can afford to take out the Scob against the Snuff Out deck. 62. Get rid of the Repeal. Okay, so I'm also going to board down the Tolarian Winds. This plan's a little bit risky because like we're really in on the beatdown plan now. But in my experience, Necromass has been incredibly effective against Faeries. Nope. Interesting. Keep in bottom. Cabal Ritual. Swamp past the turn. Island into Preordain. Sure thing. 2 on the bottom. Cycle the Architects. Drannith Stinger. Take a draw. Cycle the Stinger. Looking for an island here. Cycle the Street Wraith. Okay, I like drawing the Necromass. Pass the turn. Island. Ooh, they have Spellbomb and I couldn't find the blue source. That's a Preordain. Okay, I'm going to cycle Stinger here. There's the island, a little too late. Necromass. We untap, I have Spell Pierce backup, but it's a big if. 2 mana. They have the cast down. Brutal. Cycle Ash Barrens. Pass the turn. They also have an Ash Barrens. Preordain. Going on here. This is a Gurmag. Yep. Draw. What songs? See if they bite. They do in fact bite. Should I try to cycle into something better? I don't think so. We can at least cycle the healer. If I draw into like a Dark Ritual, I could still play Horror this turn. Okay. Songs of the Damned. They have Dispel. That's fine. Pass the turn. We are still capable of winning this game. They have a Brainstorm. They did get double Stinger. Faeries Seer. They get to put those 2 cards from the Brainstorm on the bottom of their library. 1 on top, 1 on the bottom. So they chose to keep Ice Tunnel, which is interesting. We go to 13 life. Cycle this Architects. Tolarian Winds. It's an interesting one. I don't think I want to use that. There's land 5, so I can play Horror next turn. Just have to pass. So I'm taking 6 here. My life total is going to be very low. 3 cards in hand. So even if I play the Horror, all it is it's on blocking duty for the Gurmag. So let's cycle this Horror. Let's Tolarian Winds, see if they counter that. Because, I mean, the 3 cards I have in hand aren't all-stars anyway. Those resolve. But I have to imagine they have a counter spell. Cycle of Antisaur. Blood Celebrant. They let that go. Alright, so I have a chump blocker to stay alive for a turn. Well, if they have a removal spell, I'm dead. Spell Pierce. Okay, should I Reaping the Grave? Yeah, should I Reaping here? Storm's pretty high. Songs? Return the Stinger? Plenty of mana. I just have to be able to live. Cycle the Horror. Necromass. Cycle. Ooh, I have the -1 effect in my deck. I don't know if I can get to that here, but it's theoretically a card I'm drawing to. Cycle the Healer. And Vantisaur. Am I allowed to chump block? Blocker Mag, I will go to 5. They have 2 in hand. Play Swamp. Necromass. Street Wraith. Pass the turn. Racing 2 flyers. I do have that Suffocating Fumes in my deck. I'm at 3. In my upkeep, let's cycle. I should have 1 more basic in the deck. Draw. Jeez. Okay. Flooding a little bit here. Cycle the Stinger. It's interesting. Attack them for 3. They cannot block. Pass the turn. I'm at 1. So I could go Dark Ritual Cycle. Or Dark Ritual Reaping the Graves. So previously my plan was like, well, maybe I could use Healer. I boarded out all my Lotus Petals. So Lotus Petal's not an option here. And I'm at 1 life, so I can't use Blood Celebrant. So I think I'm actually supposed to untap. Or I could go Ritual Reaping for 2, cycle, trying to hit the fumes. Maybe that's the line. Reaping the Graves. Forgot that I don't need to tap more mana. Reaping for 2. Alright, so this is a glorified Preordain. Cycle. Not what we needed. Cycle. Horror. Cycle that. We need the Suffocating Fumes. Draw for turn. A little bit of life. Cycle. We are dead. That's a bummer. Okay, so yeah, we started out hot. We went 2-0. I ate dinner, and then we lost out. So clearly, you can blame this league on Buffalo Chicken Pizza. Yeah, I don't really have any excuses. I still love this deck list. I felt like Tolarian Winds was super powerful, and I loved it. I didn't really feel the lack of repository scob this league, and it made us less... What's the word I'm looking for here? Weak, I guess, to removal on the scob. There was a spot where it mattered, but I think less than typical. We were more resilient, I guess I'll say. The sideboard, you could change it. I'm not married to this at all. One thing you could do, and I did this before I recorded round 5, is you could go minus the Suffocating Fumes that I just wanted to draw, minus the Dahada's Ploy, and then... What was the last card? Repeal for this green package against burn. I'd have to test it to see. We didn't face any Bogles or the mono red prowess deck, if that's what the darkness is for. So theoretically, you could cut the darkness and then keep the other cards. I'm not sure. But I love this deck so much. I don't care that I went 2-3. I think that this deck is the truth when it comes to combo decks and Pauper. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I know that I enjoyed playing it. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it, and keep storming. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.